I actually don't know the order, but Natalie will guide us.
Okay.
Jared, can you hear us?
Great
You're the
stuff.
first on here that we're actually getting it to work.
Yeah, I'm really not.
You should.
I was like shaking the whole day. and I was
Is the
like,
sound
okay.
working?
I know, that's all it's-
Can I get a yes or a no if the sound is working?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you all did gymnastics. I know this thing was like.
You like just little
Yeah,
nails
we're
down.
down.
Yeah.
You can hear us? Never mind. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Kuhn, so I'm Morgan's press secretary. I just want to thank you so much for joining us today for this press conference. So we'll begin today with a few speakers from the Hilliard-Darby High School community. Carrie, who's a parent, and Owen and Riley, who are two student organizers from Hilliard-Darby. And they are joined by a few of their peers in support. So we're going to start with Carrie, and then we'll keep going.
Hello. I just want to say I have a 7-year-old first grader. My goal is to raise her to know and accept that all humans are worthy and valid. House Bill 616 attempts to invalidate the existence of large groups of Americans and Ohioans. And when I saw that Hilliard students had organized this walkout, I had hope. We need to listen to teenagers because the laws we pass today impact teenagers long-term. If we say we are making laws to protect the children, then we need to listen to the children. Seeing a potential lawmaker, any lawmaker, show up to support students and listen to what they have to say is huge. When I saw that Morgan showed up by invitation, my heart was full. I have seen no other candidate on either side speak out against this bill, and to me, that speaks volumes.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Next, we'll have Riley, who's a student organizer at Hilliard-Darby High School.
So I first want to say that although there is no federal law that bans discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity in public places, the First, 9th, and the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment all protects our rights as human beings. People who are not straight cis people are also human beings. Title IX protects people from discrimination based on sex and educational programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance, which leads us to the problem. Bill 616, or more known as the Don't Say Gay bill to the teenage community. As a member of the LGBTQ community, I will not be silenced. I'm here to stand up for the minorities that are too afraid to speak out. This is hurting young kids, this is hurting adults, and this is also hurting older people. If Ohio is going to get rid of my right to be free and to be myself in a supposedly safe space called my school, then I will no longer have the same connection to school that I had prior. The world is full of misunderstanding people, especially towards the LGBTQ community. Let's change it now for the younger kids growing up. Let's change it now for the adults who never got to be true to themselves. As I once said at this walkout that we did, kids watch princesses and prince kiss every night at the end of every Disney movie. But what if a princess wants to kiss a princess, and what if a prince wants to be queen? There should be no difference.
Thank you, Riley. And finally, we'll end with Owen.
This bill will regulate teachers and make their job harder. This bill will prevent students from getting the help they need. Statistics show that kids in the LGBTQ+ community are 3 to 4 times more likely to commit self-harm, not because they are gay, lesbian, or trans, but because they face harassment for being just who they are. And even with statistics like that, a certain group of politicians want to make our life harder and prevent us from getting the help we need. It is our right to get help we need to save our lives. It is our right to learn about gender identity. It is our right to learn that having a different sexuality is okay. It is our right to learn about racism. It is our right to say gay. This bill not only wants to suppress the LGBTQ+ community, but it wants to stop our progress towards equality and diversity. The bill states that no teaching, resources, or books that include diversity, equity, or inclusion can be taught. The bill states that teaching students about race, equality, and diversity is divisive. Now, what about promoting diversity and inclusion in our schools is divisive? On Thursday, April 14th, my friends and I organized and spoke at a rally at our school to protest the Don't Say Gay bill. Although the school was neither in support or against our rally, they provided us with an opportunity to protest the bill in a safe and organized manner. After this rally took place, we were expecting to get a wave of hate, and we certainly got it. We've been called wicked, evil, uneducated, sinners, idiots, demons, and several other slurs I cannot say. We were called all these things for standing up for human rights, for fighting for what was right. All the hate we are receiving just goes to show that LGBTQ+ youth needs more support from people like Morgan Harper. That's why it's important that we get people like Morgan Harper elected, that will stand up for the teachings of diversity, equity, and equality, and stand up for LGBTQ+ rights. Out of all the hate we are receiving, we are taking it as an opportunity to educate people rather than give hate back. We are educating people that the bill targets students past the grades of 3. We are educating people that this bill is not to prevent sex ed from being taught to kids, but rather to eliminate all talks, teaching, and resources that mention anything over sexual orientation, gender identity, diversity, equity, equality, and other subjects that kids should learn about. Resources for kids to get help need to be available to save lives. Not all kids have parents that will accept them if they are gay. Not all kids have a safe home to go to if they're confused about their sexuality or gender. Schools provide help for these students, and yet people want to take that help away. I will leave you with one final thought, a quote from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Thank you everyone so much for sharing. Before we hear from U.S. Senate candidate Morgan Harper, I'd like to share a message to Morgan from Jacob that she received on Twitter following the walkout. Jacob is a senior at Hilliard Darby, and he wasn't able to be here today, but he sends his support and he gave us permission to read his message aloud. Hi, my name is Jacob. I am currently a senior at Hilliard Darby High School, and on Thursday I attended the walkout. First of all, I would like to thank you for being there in opposition to House Bill 616. Your presence alone made an incredible impact on so many students. I understand that sometimes working with people so young can be difficult because of the age gap, but also sometimes a knowledge gap, which is another reason why your resistance and relatability was felt so strongly throughout the student body who attended. There are many students and teachers in our building who are in opposition to this bill and who are encouraging others to learn about how and why this bill is harmful to students and teachers. The more that students understand the effects of this bill, the easier it is to see how harmful it is in our schools. This is exactly why your presence mattered so much to me personally, because I feel like it is a wake-up call to those who are unaware of the dangers of this bill. While they may try to deter you from empowering us, simply your presence is inspiring and has shown very clearly that you believe in us. I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming primary, and once again, we thank you for being there for us. So many thanks to Jacob for allowing us to share his message with you. And finally, we will hear from U.S. Senate candidate Morgan Harper, and following her remarks, she will take any questions from the press.
Well, first, I want to just thank all of the members from the Hilliard community who have come out today, and Owen and Riley and their fellow organizers in particular for having the courage to step up, speak out, and really stand up for us all, because these kinds of bills are an attack on what we stand for as a country and as a state. And for folks who are not familiar with me, my name is Morgan Harper. I'm a Democrat running for the open U.S. Senate seat. And as you may have heard and has already been referenced today, a few days ago on Thursday, I had the honor of being invited by these student organizers to join them at Hilliard Darby High School to walk out and protest House Bill 616, or the Don't Say Gay bill. And I, again, want to thank the students for doing all that they have done to bring attention to this heinous bill. HB 616, the Don't Say Gay bill, is about moving us backwards. What does that look like? In the 1990s, when I was in middle school and high school, what that looked like was having friends who were gay and had to hide that from our classmates, and those of us who really cared about them having to do what we could to protect them from being bullied on a daily basis. What that looked like was having teachers who were gay, who couldn't talk about their partners, who had to pretend that they had roommates that they were not in relationships with because they worried about backlash from within the school and beyond. We cannot allow the Ohio and National Republican Party to continue to take us backwards. These kids, our community, is the future. And that is what we are talking about today. And I encourage students everywhere to use their constitutional rights to speak out against draconian legislation like HB 616. It is outrageous and irresponsible for the school district to try to censor students by interfering with their political activity. Now, you might also have heard that the school district filed a police report about my appearance at the walkout. So let me set the record straight. I was invited by the students to attend and support them. The students told the administration in advance about their plan to invite me. And again, I was honored to show my support. I made brief remarks encouraging the students, and after making those remarks, left without incident or interacting with any school official. I was not approached or talked to by any school official. Given the facts, those are the facts that I just stated, it's clear that the police report is entirely frivolous. It is also clear that the report and the accompanying statement were politically motivated. Right-wing adults are attempting to interfere with students' rights to demonstrate, and they're also attempting to interject themselves into this Senate race before an election, just a few weeks before that election. These adults should be ashamed of themselves. Instead, they should be applauding students for doing what a lot of adults wouldn't even have the courage to do, showing integrity and courage for standing up for their beliefs and releasing their own public statements denouncing HB 616. That would be a good use of everyone's time, money, and resources. And again, I just want to thank everyone who came here today to speak out. And what they're protesting is something that we all need to be paying attention to. This legislation, and Owen, Riley have already referenced it, it is incredibly dangerous for queer youth. It would have irreversible negative mental health impacts on LGBTQ youth who are already vulnerable to discrimination and bullying and who already face tremendously high rates of depression and suicide compared to their straight peers. This dangerous and hateful piece of legislation is not really just about what teachers can or cannot teach. This legislation is about censorship. It is about erasing the very existence of LGBTQ+ people. Gay teachers would be forced to go back into the closet. If a student has gay parents, they would not be allowed to talk about it. And Ohio educators would be banned from even acknowledging that gay people exist. And now here's where the Ohio bill goes even further than Florida's. Not content to merely erase LGBTQ+ people out of existence, but Ohio's most extreme legislators are also targeting race and any material deemed divisive. That is beyond broad. Anything can be deemed divisive. So of course, they will take any opportunity to spread their phony talking points about CRT or the 1619 Project to whip people up in racial frenzy and continue to try to divide Ohioans. But to be clear, CRT isn't being taught in schools, never has been. It's just a buzzword that Republicans are using to ramp up this fear and score political points at the cost of our children and our teachers. We cannot allow the GOP to continue to threaten our educational environments in this way. We must do everything we can to ensure that this legislation is not signed into law in Ohio. And this is why we are holding this event right now. This is why it's so important that students and parents are willing to speak out. These bills get introduced in Florida and Texas, they get national attention, but we find that they just slide through in Ohio, and before we know it, they become law. We have to uplift the voices of LGBTQ+ people in our community throughout Ohio and throughout this country, and especially the youth, not censor them. Given everything that all of this community already has to deal with, it is shameful for Ohio Republicans to even think of trying to pass this legislation. We should be a state of the future, not trying to go back in time. Legislation like HB 616 and other similar laws that we've seen around the country, that is exactly why we have to have federal action. I am running for a federal seat, US Senate, and it is long past time that we pass the Equality Act. That needs to be law to prevent all types of discrimination against the LGBTQ+ community and Americans all over this country, and including throughout Ohio. We have to remain vigilant in this process, and that is what I will be committed to fighting for in the United States Senate. And again, my name is Morgan Harper. I am running to offer a new path forward for Ohio, and it is the honor of a lifetime to stand with the members of the Hilliard community who have had the courage to speak out today, and so many others that couldn't be here today, that know that this is about right and wrong, and we stand firmly on the side of doing what is right for our children, for our community, for our schools, for our teachers, for us. Thank you to everyone for coming today, and I look forward to any questions you might have.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to.
We have a question, Morgan. We're getting a lot of questions on our end. Did anyone from the campaign reach out to any of the faculty or anyone directly?
Yeah, so as we've already stated, the student organizers were in touch with the administration to organize the event, and then also informed the administration that I would be attending the event. And I stopped by the event. There were administrators and folks that were on the grounds, didn't interact with any of them directly, spoke for a couple of minutes and then proceeded on. But what we really need to keep everyone focused on is, what are we talking about? What is the real issue here? The real issue here is that we have a bill that has been introduced by people who have been elected to protect our children, to ensure that everyone in the state of Ohio is able to get a quality education and be free to live their life. And instead of doing their job and protecting that, we have people who have introduced legislation, the Don't Say Gay bill, HB 616, who are trying to turn us backwards. So that's what I want people in Central Ohio and throughout the state to stay focused on. And we all need to be speaking out against that. And it would be great if we had the school board spending their time releasing a statement, identifying this risk to our young people and our teachers and our families, rather than trying to waste their time with these frivolous police reports and things like that.
However, however, there was no direct contact between your campaign and the school district's administrators before this event happened. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Given that, would you consider probably done this differently in the future, or if for another event, if another student group were to invite you, how would you approach this differently?
My focus is always doing what I can to protect and stand up for our young people. And right now, our young people are under threat from an extreme Ohio GOP that is not doing their job and ensuring that our educational environments are safe, and are instead trying to further jeopardize the safety of LGBTQ+ youth. And so, like the youth that are here today, I am on their side, and I will do what's necessary to stand up and make sure that all of our rights and freedoms are protected.
Was there reaction in response to the Hilliard School District filing a police report right after the student walkout?
To me, this is just a frivolous and outrageous use of their time, when really they should be focused on calling out, like we are doing here today, the risk that HB 616, the Don't Say Gay bill, is presenting to children, teachers, and communities all over the state of Ohio. That would be a good use of their time. The politicization and the frivolous report is a waste of everyone's time, and we have too much at stake right now to be wasting any time.
Thank you.
It seems like you kind of are insinuating it was kind of like an attack on the party. Like did you find it like to be an attack, that the fact that they're making this big of a deal out of this and didn't go to you directly?
I think it's trying to distract from the main issue. And the main issue here is that we have a bill, HB 616, the Don't Say Gay bill, that has been introduced by our state legislature that is putting people in harm's way, that is threatening not just the LGBTQ+ community, but really all of us and our rights and freedoms. And it's a shame to have people who are supposed to be looking out for protecting our educational environments, wasting time with trying to politicize a situation when really this shouldn't be political. There's right and wrong. That's what Ohio is about. We know the difference between right and wrong, and HB 616 is wrong, and we all need to be speaking out about that.
Have you or the school have any contact since the walkout, and do you plan to make any appeals or anything like that to them moving forward?
I heard from people representing the school via Twitter direct message. That's the only direct contact that we've had. And I'm happy to be in touch with whomever. And my email is morgan@morganharper.org, and our website also has an email on it. So very accessible, and welcome any further discussion about HB 616, Don't Say Gay bill, and the threat that it is posing to our children. And anyone who is willing to work together to stop it, well, that is a partner in the fight that I see as a top priority for us as a state right now.
Hi.
Sorry, are you planning on challenging your ban for use to enter any school property in here?
Sorry, say it again.
Are you planning to challenge your ban for use to enter any school property in here?
No, I really am focused on trying to protect our communities. So I don't have any intentions of challenging anything like that. What I am challenging is HB 616, the Don't Say Gay bill, and any effort to try to discriminate against anyone in our state. That is why at the federal level, it's very important that we pass, and I will be a strong proponent of the Equality Act. But then also we need people around Central Ohio, around Ohio to know that these types of bills are being introduced by our state legislature. The people that are elected to look out for us are trying to move our state backwards. That is a threat to the safety of our young people. That is a threat to our economy. That is a threat to all of us and our ability to live in our state and have our freedom. And we need to be speaking out about that.
Do you plan to attend any future walkouts by, student organizations at other schools? If so, would you try to make contact with those school districts beforehand?
I will always be on the side of any young people that are trying to stand up and protect their rights, and anyone who wants to reach out and work together to try to stop HB 616, I welcome that contact. And again, I'm just so proud of Owen, Riley, others here today, and that couldn't be here today, that have been leading the charge on this front. It's very, very important.
Any other questions?
Great.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, everyone, for coming, and really, I just want to give another round of applause to Owen and Riley.
It was part of my special pleasure. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? I was crying.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
I have never met someone that is so powerful that actually cares about us young kids and what we want in life. Typically, one of the main things that I have problems with is something called ageism, you know what that is, and as a 16-year-old, people think, oh, well, you don't know much, you're 16, and I literally look at them, I'm like,
You know a lot.
I know a lot.
Sometimes more than
I'll get married.
Literally,
So,
literally.
you guys.